if you're not following along here, what I'm trying to express to you was I was letting you guys know that there were dudes outside of MMA, outside of UFC, who were actual well-rounded athletes that if they felt like it, could come and kick these dudes' butts. And then Hokit shows up. I say it all the time, and I know it makes some people very uncomfortable. Because some UFC fans make the fighters their gods. They're gods. You know what? Wow. Dude, Hokit is saving everything. He saved the heavyweight division. He saved the UFC. He saved the UFC Freedom 250 card. And he's saving my narrative. Hokit is the perfect example for this thing I always talk about. Here's what I was about to say. So we know Poirier's a bridesmaid. You know, he's that dude like almost, even his retirement. Almost. All right, play the promo. But we don't know anything about that cop. Who knows? That cop could have been and I know, see, here's what UFC and MMA culture has done to people. People have like lost all respect for like the traditional martial arts. Like for all we know, that cop could have like 13 black belts. And listen to me. I'm fully aware. I've seen them. I've trained with them. I know there's people that are black belts. Bro, they shouldn't even be allowed to wear like a black leather belt from Target. Like, don't even don't even wear that color. I get that. But there are some there's some blue belts. There's some orange belts that's like, bro, did you get your like 3rd degree black belt and then start over? Like, you're solid, bro. There's dudes out there that they're born with the IQ. They're born with this spatial awareness. They're born being coordinated, knowing how to move their body, knowing how to read body language, having good timing, having good cat-like reflections. For all we know, this dude could have pieced up Poirier, and the dude was heavily intoxicated. But yes, maybe he should have flopped and took the payday. You're correct. Okay, I got distracted. That's what it was, the security guard guy, and how maybe he would have pieced up Poirier for all we know. Here's what I was going to say. I say it a lot, and I know it makes a lot of people upset. This is what I was saying. A lot of UFC, MMA fans, they make these fighters their gods. They make them seem invincible. Like these, apparently these are the only dudes that know how to fight. Everyone else, there's that term that people like to use. Oh, they'll beat the brakes off him. He'll beat the brakes off me. Oh man, I'm glad. Have you seen even that chick, Tracy Cortez? I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty manly man, but she'll beat the brakes off me. Bro, I can't stand it. Have you ever spoke with a man and you guys start talking about UFC and he talks about how a chick could beat him up? Dude. Dude, I hope your wife doesn't hear you say that, bro. So here's my point. I always say that people that fight in the UFC, that's a choice they made. That's a choice. And there was other people out there that could probably also fight and have tremendously high fight IQs and have all those abilities and talents and stuff. But they're like, you know what? I don't want to cut weight like my whole life. I don't want to go train a couple times a day, every day. I don't want to travel and never be home and never see my family, never be there for holidays and birthdays. I don't want to get punched and kicked in the face. I don't want to get ringworm. I don't want to get staph. I don't want to have all these contract disputes. I don't want to not have health insurance. I don't want to have unfortunate fighter pay. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. You know? Heck no. Heck no. And if they're athletic enough, they'll go play football. They'll go play basketball. They'll go do something else and make way more money than a fighter would ever make by sitting on the bench. Or they'll be like, heck no, I don't want to travel. I don't want to be around all these sweaty, stinky dudes in the locker room all the time. I'll just start like an RV business. I'll open up like a storage unit facility. I'll just work at Costco and have a mild-mannered, pretty kick-back life. I don't need all the excesses, But so check it out. I could say that, and then you guys will be like, whatever, okay. And I would always tell you guys, the people in the UFC aren't necessarily the most athletic people. You put them through like an obstacle course with NFL players, or it gets kind of iffy when you start talking about like the NBA. But for sure, like NFL players, because there's a lot of people that are in the UFC that wanted to go to the NFL, wanted to go to the NBA, wanted to play baseball, wanted to do something different, wanted to be a boxer, but they're like, it's easier to do MMA. Okay, and people doubted me. And then what happened? So I've been saying that thing since Josh Hokit was a 49er. I've been telling you guys how the best athletes, it's like people equate fighting with, those got to be the best, most agile athletes because they could kick everyone's butt, right? Well, they're the ones that chose to be there. So in that little pool of people that chose to be there, some people are going to be the best. They have to. Someone's got to be the best of any pool, and then they get the bouts. But you better believe that there's way better, more talented athletes outside of that little bubble, the dudes that made it into those bigger pools. And I was saying that since Josh Hokit was a 49er. So if you're not following along here, what I'm trying to express to you was I was letting you guys know that there were dudes outside of MMA, outside of UFC, who were actual well-rounded athletes that if they felt like it, could come and kick these dudes' butts. And then Hokit shows up. He's just like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be a 49er anymore. I think I'm going to go fight. And I'm just going to kick dudes' butts. And I'm going to do it to the point where I'm going to end up fighting at the White House. And I'm going to knock out the dude with the most knockouts in UFC history. And to make it even worse, to make it even more insulting, I'm going to invert his stuff. I'm going to invert his whole thing and now make him be the most knocked out dude in UFC history. Bro, I was telling you guys, you better believe that there's dudes out there that could do even better. They could mop the floor with these dudes. They could mop up all the staph infection off these mats if they wanted to with these dudes. And then Hokit shows up and does what he does. And then now people are like, oh, dang. I guess there are people out there at any given time that could just come in here and let people know what's up. What do you got to say now? What do you got to say now? All these fighters were begging to be on the White House card. They were begging and pleading to be on the White House card. There were fighters who shall remain nameless. There were fighters who even said, I don't want to be at the White House card. I don't want to be there with all them blanks, and I don't want to have nothing to do with those bad guys. I don't want to be there. Heck no. And then they're like, oh, we don't want you to be here. Actually, you're not invited. Stay away. And then they're like, let's go to the White House and let's get some posters. And then they're out there protesting at the White House. They get arrested. They make us spend taxpayer dollars arresting them. They think they're the light-skinned Rosa Parks, so on and so forth and etc. There's fighters that wanted so badly to go to the White House, wanted to be part of that event. And Josh Hokit, they're like, bro, we need you. We need you, bro. Can you please come to the White House? Everyone else, can I come? I want to be there. I got to be there. I got to represent my country. I want to be there so bad. The dude that they've been calling the GOAT forever, John Jones. I have to be there. I got to fight for my country. I got to fight for this president. Remember, I did the dance and everything. I got to be there. Nah, chala. Hey, Hokit, please, Hokit, we got to have you. Dude.